Why are you the way that you are? Honestly, every time I try to do something fun or exciting, you make it not that way.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Priority Holder, and today we'll be playing black-green skeletons in the Timeless format. Now, when you think of high power magic, probably the first tribe that comes to mind is skeletons. So what we're doing is we're playing their payoffs such as Skeletal Swarming. It gives skeletons trample, boosts them, it forces them to attack each turn, and our end step we get either one or two tapped skeletons to play. So it's incredibly slow, but sort of very inevitable card. Another payoff is sort of a classic one, Death Baron, gives skeletons and zombies +1/+1 and Death Touch, so it's like our skeleton lord. And Newcomer, Corpses of the Lost, and this is the card that really made me excited to try this out. So it's a 3-mana enchantment. When it enters, it makes a 2/2 black skeleton pirate creature, and when it's in play, it gives skeletons +1/+0 and haste. So, and very importantly, that if we've descended, we can, on our end step, we can pay life and return this to our hand. So it's sort of like a renewable resource, renewable way to get skeletons into play. So very excited about this card. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a non-bow with our come into play tap skeletons like Gutterbones and Cult Conscript. Cult Conscript is also a non-bow since it can only return with non-skeletons, therefore only Death Baron helps with that. So there are some like rough edges in this tribe, that's for sure, especially because we're playing Moss Pit Skeleton. But yeah, let's see if we can compete in this high power format. Can Dark Ritual carry this underpowered tribe? Let's jump into some games. Alright, a reasonable hand. A Dark Ritual would make this hand look a lot better. Alright, turn 1 Ragavan from the opponent is not a great feeling to face when you have a come into play tapped creature. So Ragavan's going to get to hit us at least once. Alright, so hoping that they don't get anything super good. Alright, so they just hit a land, but it does accelerate their mana. Alright, so they're going to hammer us at Skewer the Critics. So it looks like we're playing like some red-white burn, electrostatic blast. It's an alchemy card, so basically what it does is it gives them like an emblem. It's called a boon, that the next time they cast a spell, it lets them sort of like impulse draw. Alright, so we love to see this on turn 3 from an aggro deck, just returning Lurrus, putting Lurrus into hand. So get sort of a turn off. We're going to slam Corpses of the Lost. And question is whether to attack in, because then it might open a Ragavan attack. Decide to attack. It's hard to say what was right there, but alright, so opponent slams Lurrus and passes. So a sort of slow start from them, or at least they're gearing up for like a longer game. Now we held off on Dark Ritual last turn because now it's going to allow us to play 2 copies of Corpses of the Lost. And you can see the power of Corpses of the Lost right here. Like, all of a sudden we're attacking them for lethal right here, and they're forced to double trade. So Lurrus is going to gain them a chunk of life back, but already it's putting us in the driver's seat, and they're like in the danger zone. Okay, so they have another Ragavan that they dash out, hoping to get something good off our deck, and they get a Death Baron, which is a horrible thing for them to hit, because it costs double black. It's just not super impactful. So maybe there's a secret of playing cards that aren't that good for Ragavan to steal. That's how you beat Ragavan. Alright, so I'm going to grab a forest here because we're going to put the opponent to the test right here. We're going to fire Hive of the Eye Tyrant and just send in right here. Alright, so they're cracking Sunbite Canyon. Feels pretty good. They're going to need 2 removal spells to survive right now. We're going to exile Lurrus. Alright, so Lightning Bolt, and it's going to trigger the boon, and they managed to spike a Lightning Bolt off the impulse draw. They needed a 1-mana interaction spell, and they found it, so our land bites the dust. So they do fall to 1 life. Now, all of our Corpses of Lost are trigger. I'm going to return 1 to my hand here, and not the other ones, because it does grant a power boost and haste. Not only that, we don't want to fall to 6 against burn if we can help, because then just 2 bolts and we're dead. So Ragavan's dashed in to make something happen, and they get another bad hit off ours. Just a double pipped card they can't cast. Alright, so opponent hasn't packed it in yet though, and they have 2 unknown cards, but we're going to try and put them to the test right here. We're going to play Corpses of the Lost. Alright, so opponent has Electrostatic Blast. and they're out of action, and we managed to win against Burn. So that was a close game. But as we move into the next game, please remember to ice flow the like button, comment, and subscribe. It supports the channel and helps you know what the people want. Thank you. Now this is so close to greatness, because like turn 1 Dark Ritual Death Baron is not what this deck wants to do. Like the thing is, Death Baron, you want to have like the creatures it's boosting already in play. So what I'm targeting with this hand instead is Dark Ritual to get an early Skeletal Swarming, which, especially now that I see that it's a black deck, they're going to have a lot of trouble dealing with it. And we can hopefully just sort of outvalue them with it. We will need to draw some more mana though to make that happen. We're going to fetch out a swamp right here and just play an unkicked Moss Pit Skeleton. Opponent's probably like, what queue am I in? Did I accidentally click something else? Not your typical timeless card, Moss Pit Skeleton. So, but Corpse of the Lost makes a lot of things possible. Alright, swamp and pass from the opponent. Now, we draw a Corpse of the Lost right here. That represents a lot more damage, so I decided to go ahead and Dark Ritual it out, even though it's really annoying to like not have that for the Skeletal Swarming. But this just puts him under immense pressure right here. So we're going to attack it for 9 damage. But the opponent has Bowmasters, so that's going to kill our Gutterbones. That's the tough part about running so many X1s, is like Bowmasters is one of the best cards in the format, and just allows Bowmaster just to eat you alive. We descended, but we're not returning Corpses of the Lost because we just simply don't have enough mana. Alright, so opponent Dark Ritual is out a Necropotence, so they're also struggling on mana. And let's see how far they go with it. Now, fortunately, like, we already have 6 power on board and have shown that we can like push a ton of damage, so they probably can't go super deep on Necro for just fear of how much damage we can shell out. Alright, so we play another Moss Pit Skeleton. Once again, can attack them for 9. Alright, Fatal Push is pretty strong. And they take 6, so that's pretty good. Once again, even though we descended, not returning corpses, we just don't have the mana. Alright, so opponent finds another land and they start necroing twice. And they stop right there. So they're refilling their hand, but we're putting them under such huge pressure that they can't go real deep on Necro, and they have to just play super defensive right now. Alright, Fatal Push is tough. Let's see if they have something else, and another Bowmasters. That's pretty strong because that's going to ping our skeleton, and then they can block it down, trade with it with the Orc army. This is why you hold back the Cult Conscript till after the dust settles, because hopefully it survives the Bowmasters. Once again, even though we descended, we are not returning corpses because we have enough stuff to play should we draw the lands, and corpses is granting a power boost. So, alright, so Swamp is pretty great. We're going to play Death Baron, and the opponent has another Orcish Bowmasters, which is really brutal because that's just going to eat up our Cult Conscript, and unfortunately we the Death Baron is pretty threatening. Now we are definitely going to return Corpses of the Lost. Now that we have enough mana to play it, because it represents an additional 3/2. Right now it's a 4/3 haste every turn. So opponent's starting to go deeper into Necro. Alright. Now, they maybe should have, they wanted to sort of see how our turn played out, but they're not going to get the cards till the end of their turn, so yeah, I guess it makes sense. I don't know, sometimes I think it's better just to have the cards ahead of time, so. But they have a lot of flash plays, like instant speed removal and Bowmaster, so it's hard to say, like, what's the correct way to do Necro. We're attacking with both, and oh man, they have March of Wretched Sorrow, which, at least we're taking down 2 Bowmasters right here, but that is real tough. That's going to gain them a huge chunk of life to start necroing more aggressively. Not only that, but they can possibly start chaining March of Wretched Sorrow, so. Alright, Shielded the Apocalypse is going to start putting pressure on us, but fortunately won't gain them any life because they're under Necro right now. So we need something to happen because it's looking a little bleak at the moment. And this is exactly what the Doctor ordered, Dark Ritual. Because if we slam corpses, like, it just gets blocked by Sheoldred. But this Dark Ritual lets us slam Skeletal Swarming, which represents a lot of damage in the future. Alright, so once again, opponent's necroing on our turn. Means they're not going to get the cards till their end step, so we only get one skeleton, but they know we have corpses in hand, so they have to play a little cautious. Alright, so opponent's hitting us with the Field of Ruin. Gonna go grab a swamp here. Honestly, maybe should have grabbed a forest just in case. I think that was a little misplay on my part right there. We draw the fetch anyway, but Sheoldred knocks us down to 9. And the question is what to do here, because we're also sort of close to dying. You know, opponent has 6 power and attacking. We're going to take 2 on our draw step. So I'm thinking carefully here and decide Death Baron's a pretty strong play because that gives the skeleton Death Touch. It has to attack right here. And the opponent is at such low life, like they have to do something about this, and has the coveted Trample Death Touch right now. Alright, so they go ahead and use a Bowmasters plus an army to trade with it. And we're at the danger zone. So we're going to fetch a swamp here and play a Cult Conscript. And, alright, so opponent's going to Necro again. And Skeletal Swarming, so a creature died, so we get 2 skeletons now. And so we have a ton of power. So opponent's going to need to make something big happen right now. And they're going to Necro all the way down to 1. The problem is they're not getting everything till their end step. So they're going to need like an absolutely massive March of Wretched Sorrow to like survive this attack right here. And yeah, they don't find it and they pack it in. So that was a close, grindy game against Mono Black right there. So turn 1 Thoughtseize from this opponent takes the Dark Ritual. I wonder if it's actually better for them to take Corpses of the Lost, but I guess Ritual still is a pretty threatening card. This is a misplay by me right here. I'm like thinking I can attack in turn 2 with Mutavault, but why would I do that against Mono Black? Because we actually draw the fetch for the turn 2 Moss Pit Skeleton and can't do it because it played a colorless land turn 1. So that was just an unforced error by me right there. Trying to get too cute about the Mutavault, but the opponent would love to Fatal Push that on their turn 2 anyway, so not sure what I was thinking. Decide not to fire up Mutavault in the face of that. Opponent slams Ashiok Dream Render.
Welcome to my world of nuke.
And it's going to mill us and nuke our graveyard. And we could see a Nykthos already on the other side of the battlefield, so playing against a Devotion strategy, definitely going to play a haste threat right here in Corpses of the Lost to hopefully try and take down Ashiok. Because we want to reduce their mana production. Alright, so opponent plays Karn the Great Creator, so this is obviously some sort of Devotion strategy. Karn's popular in those strategies because although he doesn't contribute to Devotion, gives you a great way to pour Nykthos mana into usable things. So they go ahead and grab the 1 ring. But we have another Corpses of the Lost, and that's going to make life difficult for them. Now, I had a hard time here thinking about who to attack. So honestly, I want both the Planeswalkers dead. I could see an argument towards like sending both of them at either one of those Planeswalkers, but I decided to send one at each to make it more likely that, you know, they either clear the creatures out or kill one of them. So they decide to trade with one of them and save the Karn. But we killed Ashiok though, so that's gonna like drastically reduce their mana since Nykthos is a 0 right now. So opponent plays the 1 ring. And Karn's gonna grab something. And they grab a Wormcoil Engine. And they fire up the 1 ring. And they miss a land that turn, so that's one thing in our favor. Now the opponent's under ring protection right now, so the only useful attack we have is killing Karn, which we'll gladly do. The question is what to play next. So we're definitely going to fetch up a green source. I'm going to grab an Overgrown Tomb, shock it in. There is an argument to playing Unkicked Moss Pit Skeleton and Death Baron, but decide just to play, like, we see a worm coil coming down, so play just like as huge a threat as possible. Now, gonna return at least one Corpses Lost, and I guess there's an argument to playing for returning the second one, but remember, in play, it's a +1/+0 and haste skeleton anthem, so it is valuable to have them in play if you don't have mana to replay them all. Alright, so opponent just does a ring activation, they can't play anything. They're probably holding up interaction though, so we're going to slam Corpses of the Lost and slam a Death Baron. Threatening a ton of damage right here, so opponent's going to nuke our Hive of the Eye Tyrant with Field of Ruin. We're just going to grab a Swamp. And let's see what the opponent has. Alright, Orcish Bowmaster, so makes sense. That's unfortunate, it's going to kill Gutterbones and give them 2 potential blockers. However, Death Barons can prevent any trades from happening. And we're just going to attack them for 18 damage right here and just see what happens. Okay. Fatal Push cuts down Moss Pit Skeleton, so still attacking them for 10. And the ring is going to be like punishing their life total, so they have to be mindful of that. Now, since one of our creatures died, we triggered Descend, so we're going to return both Corpses Lost since we have nothing else to do. And they represent massive hasty threats, so you could really see, like, this is the power of Corpses Lost in these grindy games. Like, we're just getting free haste creatures over and over again. So opponent's going to slam Worm Coil. And that's pretty tough, though I feel a lot better because we have Death Baron granting Death Touch. We draw another Death Baron. So I'm going to go ahead and just slam double corpses right here. It just adds way more threats to the board. I'm going to slam another one right here. So we're representing like just an absolutely massive attack right here. 22 damage, potentially. Run some calculations here and decide they have to block in such a way that it's good, that it's basically a free attack with Death Baron, because right now they're taking 12, gaining 6. And if they block it another way, I think they just die, or at least pretty close to it, especially with the ring. So that's why we sent in with Death Baron there. There was some calculations ahead of time to make sure that was wise. But the opponent does, the Worm Coil is good for a reason. They get 2 chump blockers, and we're going to just keep the pressure up, return both Corpses of Lost to hand, and the ring dings them down to 1. Alright, so opponent plays Legend Rules of Nykthos, but not in the way you want to, and then they pass. So Grey Merchant gives them another blocker. Alright, the opponent goes, maybe they meant to activate the ring on their turn or something. But on their upkeep, the ring's going to ding them for 3, so they're in major trouble. And like, we just go ahead and replay both Corpses Lost, and once again can just send in with the whole team because we have so much damage coming in. Alright, March of Wretched Sorrow is unfortunate. It does make them empty their hand, but they're going to bolster their life and reduce the amount of power coming at them by a lot. Fortunately, like, it's all trades though. And remember, they do have a life linking token right now. So we're going to ding them to 2 life, but they still have to deal with the ring, and they're almost empty handed right here. So it doesn't seem like they have a way to get out. So yeah, so they're going to activate the ring, try and find another March of Wretched Sorrow. But yeah, they don't find it and they pack it in. So that was a good grindy win against Mono Black Devotion. Alright, another black opponent, and Inquisition taking Corpses Lost. I think that's definitely a correct play on their part, because once again, black has a harder time with enchantments, and like that represents a lot of value for us. Decide to turn 1 Thoughtseize for this exact reason, because they looking for a Bowmasters, which heavily punishes the X1s we have in hand. So, alright, drawing another black source there is great, because now that Bowmasters out of the way, we can just slam our X1s and get ready to battle. And opponents go ahead and fire off Shield's Eater just to reduce the pressure on them. Now the recursion is not amazing, so alright, go blank is real tough right here. Decide, if the opponent goes land shielded, Moss Pit Skeleton's doing nothing, so we want to keep a land just to open up future plays. But Go Blank was actually pretty devastating there because, you know, we have these skeletons with recursion and just nuked all of them. So, and not to mention taking 2 cards from our hand, so that was pretty devastating. And then Shieldred slams down right here. It feels like things are spiraling now. We do have a Fatal Push, like we could take a very costly trade with Shieldred, but you don't love to do that. So I make a mistake right here. I try and get aggro, like hoping to entice them into a block with this attack, but the opponent sniffs it out right away. Like they can take this damage easily because they're gaining 2 on their draw step anyway, and then they can just attack back and kill us. So that was just a bad attack by me. I needed to camp back, block, Fatal Push, so messed that one up. Okay. Alright, Dark Ritual there. Not the best draw. Alright, Orcish Bowmaster, so that's probably going to seal the deal for the opponent. Just a good, clean kill right there. We do get to finally Fatal Push the Shieldred, but at this point it's just a moral victory. Now I forget the clause for Cult Conscript here and spew off a Dark Ritual for no reason, trying to return it back and have Mutavault activation up, but it can only return if a non-skeleton died under our control, and it is a skeleton, so its recursion is very poor in this deck, which is very unfortunate. Alright, so we attempt a Mutavault block, but opponent has March, and that's basically, well, it seems like it was going to do it, but then we draw a Death Baron, which happens to block both their creatures, so we're surviving, but it's looking bleak. Alright, so we managed to take the heat off ourselves for a second. Hive is decent. If we could animate it and threaten a blocker later. Now we just can't kill them faster than they can kill us. So we're gonna put that, not gonna shock that land in. Alright, Cult Conscript. Yeah, I'm just gonna play it. It will be good eventually, once it's untapped. Karn the Great Creator. That is pretty rough, because that's going to allow them to find something that gets them out of this. Let's see what they find. And Noxious Gearhulk, yeah, that is horrific for us. So this is basically just desperation mode. I don't think there's a way we can win from this position. Just going to send some attackers at Karn just to try and reduce the amount of value they get out of it, but honestly all they need to do is catch Noxious Gearhulk and we're basically dead. So that's unfortunate, but we're playing it out just to see if anything happens. But they already have the mana for Noxious Gearhulk, so that's going to come down and nuke the Death Baron. And yeah, we're basically toast right now. They're at 22 and don't think there's anything we can draw. Playing it out for due diligence here, but it's looking pretty bleak. I'm trying to think if there's something that went wrong in that game, but I think the Go Blank they had just sort of broke down our whole plan, and maybe that hand was too weak, honestly, to keep. Well, actually it was, our corpses lost with Thoughtseized away, so. Alright, red-blue opponent, turn 1 Ragavan. Now, we happen to draw a Dark Ritual, which is going to allow us to have a pretty nice start. So we're going to Dark Ritual into Thoughtseize. And what do we take? We're going to decide to try and get rid of all their threats. So Thoughtseize to take away Dragonwade's Channeler, Fatal Push to take away Ragavan. And the question is, do we fire off another Thoughtseize here or play our creature? Now, I opt for the creature. But in retrospect, I wonder if I should have just like Thoughtseized away Treasure Cruise here, because the opponent has nothing else to play, so now they just have Spell Pierce up like indefinitely. So yeah, so that I'm not certain what I did was the right way to do it. Opponent fires off a end step Brainstorm, and if they don't have a fetch, there's Brainstorm locked. Okay, so they have Ragavan. And they're going to smash in, and they pull a Dark Ritual, which probably is not useful for them. Alright, so Ragavan returns. And yeah, we're sort of flooding out. And I make a novice mistake right here. This is just painful. Have plenty of lands in hand. I don't play around the Spell Pierce. I just completely forgot about it. I think the fact that the Brainstorm sort of obscured their hand. Like, I knew they had it, but it just... Anyway, play the second main phase Land of Shame and pass, but it's looking pretty bleak. And the question is, because I think they could have hidden the Treasure Cruise with the Brainstorm. I'm not sure if they would have had access to it yet, so... But, you have to think that using Thoughtseize on that Treasure Cruise would help our chances a lot. But they naturally have a lot of sort of like card velocity in their deck, especially compared to us, so... We're going to attempt to block right here at the Mutavault, but opponent has Unholy Heat, so it's pretty devastating because that also sets us back a turn from activating Hive of the Eye Tyrant. But you just can't keep taking hits from Ragavan willy-nilly. And then, especially punished right here, now that Mutavault's dead, we can't play Skeletal Swarming, so that's pretty tough. Alright, so opponent plays Consider. And we're just trying to hold off Ragavan at this point. Alright, here comes Treasure Cruise. Something that we could have Thoughtseized away earlier on, Mishra's Bauble, and that's just... Now it feels like the game is really slipping away, like they're just getting a lot of card flow. Delver of Secrets. But it's hard to know, like, the whole butterfly effect of what... It's hard to know how all the rest of the turns would have played out had we taken Treasure Cruise, because then we couldn't actually cast Skeletal Swarming right now because they could have just be holding up Spell Pierce. You know, but it's hard to know exactly how things would play out, so... But we had to just jam Skeletal Swarming. Unfortunately, only have Shocks left. We drew the 2 fetches that... And we already had our Forest, so... And then I realized I made another mistake here by playing Skeletal Swarming first main phase and forcing this attack, because I did not want to attack, so I needed to move to the second main phase. So pretty bad misplay, because that's gonna open the door for them. Not that we were blocking Insectile Abomination anyway. The opponent just gets to slam in and knock us to 6. And I'm hoping they cast a Thoughtseize here, but the opponent knows the opponent's playing pretty well right here. They know they just need to flood the board against all of our trample threats. We're checking on Delirium right now in their graveyard. And yeah, that's it. That's... At best we can fire up Hive and attack in. It's just not enough damage. Now what I decide here... So this attack is forced. If they don't flip their other Delver, we can block and technically survive with Hive the Eye Tyrant. So that's the plan here. And then hopefully attack in for lethal. But that required Delver not flipping, and yeah, we pack it in. Honestly, I'm just glad Skeletons actually won some games in Timeless. I've mentioned before, there's some just clunky things going on, like Cult Conscript rarely ever being able to be returned. Coming to play tap creatures with the haste enabler, like there's just some rough parts. I think Skeletal Swarming is just simply too slow. We might need to replace that with something else. But Corpses of the Lost felt incredible. Like, I really think there is something to this card. If only the other skeletons around it were better, because this card seems really good in the fetches format. And you could see, like, the choices are pretty lean as far as skeletons and skeleton lords. So we'll have to see if we ever get some more support. But already you could see that there's a flicker of potential. So anyway, let me know in the comments what's your favorite skeleton card. Anyways, thank you for watching, and hope you have a wonderful day.